Good day, grade 9. So, this is your English teacher, Ma'am Astria again, and welcome to today's lesson on The Man with a Hoe by Edwin Markham. So, it was written in 1899 and inspired by John Francois Millet's painting. In this session, we will explore the poem's meaning, background, and its part by part analysis, and of course, its relevance. But first, let's talk about the author. Okay? Edwin Markham was born in 1852 and died in 1940. He worked as a teacher and poet, and he had a strong concern for social justice and the rights of workers. So, because of his long time focus on the working class, he earned the title Poet Laureate of the Labor Movement. Okay, so this is Edward Markham. Then let's have a quick context and history of the poem. So the poem was written in 1898 and was published in 1899. So it is a 1-year gap, right? And Markham wrote it after seeing Millet's painting of a bent agricultural worker leaning on a hoe. So, I will show you the painting of Millet's later, which was inspired. Okay. And at that time, industrialization and agrarian hardship made the lives of many laborers extremely difficult. So Markham uses the poem as a protest against the exploitation and injustice faced by workers. Okay? Now, so this is the painting I was talking about. So it was made by John Francois Millet, and this painting shows a tired farmer leaning on his hoe. So this is a tired farmer and this is the hoe. So this image symbolizes exhaustion and oppression, not just of one man but of all laborers who suffer from endless work and poverty. Now without further ado, let's talk about the poem, The Man with the Hoe, and let's try to analyze it part by part. Okay, let's read the lines first. Bowed by the height of centuries, he leans upon his hoe and gazes on the ground. The emptiness of ages in his face, and on his back the burden of the world, who made him dead to rapture and despair, a thing that grieves not, that never hopes, stolid and stand a brother to the ox. So in the first part, Markham introduces the man with the hoe. Here. He is bowed by the weight of centuries. So meaning, he carries the cumulative burdens of generations of labor and suffering. He leans on his hoe and looks down. He gazes at the ground, symbolizing defeat or loss of hope. And his face holds the emptiness of ages, and on his back the burden of the world. The poet asked a series of rhetorical questions like, who has made him this way? Dead to rapture and despair, unable to feel joy or despair. A brother to the ox, he asked, whose hand, whose breath, whose action removed the light from his brain? This question shifts blame to society, to the conditions that crush him rather than seeing him as simply unfortunate. Now, look at the bullets here. Here we unpack what the part means. So the man is more than one individual. He represents many generations of exploited laborers, like in the picture. So his bent posture and downward gaze communicate a loss of dignity and aspiration. So the comparison to the ox strips him of human identity. He became a tool of production. So The poet doesn't just describe his condition. He asks who caused it and who lowered his brow, who extinguished his mind, and it's a challenge to the audience to consider that this suffering is socially created, not naturally created, right? Okay, now let's dig deeper. In the second part, it says here that, is this the thing the Lord God made and gave? To have dominion over sea and land, to trace the stars and search the heavens for power, to feel the passion of eternity? Is this the dream he dreamed, who shaped the suns and marked their rays upon the ancient deep? Okay, so in the second part, Markham invokes the idea that humankind was created by God and in his own image, to have dominion over sea and land. So, to trace the stars and search the heavens for power, to feel the fashion of eternity. He contrasts this ideal with the reality of the man we see, an oppressed figure here. So he asks, is this the being God intended? Is this the dream that God had when shaping the suns? In other words, the man's degraded state is not what was intended for humanity. There has been a betrayal of purpose. Okay, so look at the bullet. Here is the explanation of the part. So in this, it clarifies the contrast Markham draws. Humanity's divine purpose includes dominion, exploration, passion, eternity, but the man before us cannot fulfill any of these roles. So his spirit is broken, right? And the poet is saying this is not what God meant. Something has gone and wrong socially and historically. And to the third part, let's proceed. Down all the stretch of hell to its last gulf, there is no shape more terrible than this. So, more tongued with censure of the world, blind greed, more filled with signs and portents for the soul, more fraught with danger to the universe. So, in this part, or in the third part, Markham intensifies the critique. The figure of the man is declared no shape more terrible than this. Okay, no shape more terrible than this. So, from the depths of hell to its last gulf. Why? Because this figure is tongued with censure of the world's blind greed, meaning his very existence condemns society's greed and exploitation. He carries signs and portents for the soul and is fraught with danger to the universe. His condition is not only individual but cosmic. The neglect of humanity's dignity threatens the whole. Okay? Let's proceed with the explanation. So here we see that the man's plight is used deliberately as a potent symbol. It marks the failure of society's greed. Markham suggests that when we ignore the dignity of laborers, the damage is wider than one person. It becomes a threat to humanity's moral and spiritual health. Okay? Now, let's move on. What gaps between him and serve him? Slave of the will of labor, what to him? Are Plato and the swing of Pallades, what the long reaches of the peaks of song, the rip of dawn, the reddening of the rose. So in this part, Markham draws a stark contrast between elevated, the seraphim, Plato, star, song, dawn, rose, and the man with a hoop. So it says, what gaps between him and the seraphim? He is a slave of the will of labor. So what do the heights of philosophy, beauty, nature mean to him? So the man cannot access the Plato's idea, the swing of Pallades, or the rip of dawn or roses color because he is trapped in endless toil. So his humanity and potential are blocked. What does it mean? So this part drives home the loss of potential and humanity. The wheel of labor. Okay, look at the picture. The wheel of labor is a powerful image of repetitive, soul-draining work. Because of this, the man cannot experience philosophy, like Plato, or astronomy, which is Plato's, and art in nature, song, dawn, rose, and Markham is lamenting not just the people labor, but the labor is so brutal and unending it destroys human aspiration and experience. Okay. Let's focus with this. Through this dread shape that suffering ages look, time's strategy is in that aching stoop. Through this dread shape humanity betrayed, plundered, profaned, and disinherited, Christ protests to the judges of the world, a protest that is also prophecy. So, here presents the man as a dread shape, through which the suffering ages look. His tooth is the strategy of the time. Many generations of injustice embodied in one figure. Humanity has been betrayed, plundered, and prevented, and disinherited. Now this figure cries out a protest to the judges of the world. It is both protest and prophecy, right? The man's condition speaks of past wrongs and foretells the consequence of them. So, in simplest term, this man is no longer just an individual. He is the cumulative record of humanity's betrayal. Time strategy is in his body, and his suffering is not silent. It protests the abuse and warns that there will be consequence if the oppression continues. So, now let's move on with this part. O masters, lords, and rulers in all lands, is this the handiworks you gave to God? This monstrous thing distorted and soul quenched? How will you ever strain up this shape? Touch it again with immortality, give back the upward looking and the light, rebuild in it the music and the dream, make right the immoral infamies, perfidious wrongs, immedicable woes. Okay. So, in this part, Markham addresses masters, lords, and rulers in all lands. He asks, is this the product you gave to God? This monstrous thing distorted and soul quenched? He then asks how they will ever straighten up the shapes, restore vitality or immortality, restore aspiration upward looking in the light. So rebuild music and dream, and make right the ancient wrongs, perfidious wrongs, and incurable woes. So it is a moral challenge to power. And of course, here the poem explicitly shift from descriptions to demand. So the rulers and masters are held accountable. The degraded human is not just a passive victim, but a monument to injustice. The poet demands restoration of what has been lost. Human dignity, creativity, dream, justice. This is a strong call for reform. Okay? And lastly, in the last part here, O masters, lords, and rulers in all lands, how will the future reckon with this man? How answers his brute questions in that heart when whirlwinds of rebellion shake all shores? How will it be with kingdoms and with kings, with those who shape him to the thing he is, when this damned terror shall rise to judge the world after the silence of the centuries? What a powerful part, right? So, the final part repeats the address to power. How will the future reckon with this man? When the oppressed rise, no? When will the kingdoms and kings who shape him must answer? So, the damned terror, the oppressed figure, will rise to judge the world after centuries of silence. So, this ending is prophetic, warning of social upheaval and moral reckoning. So, This shows how Markham turns the silent suffering of labor into forceful prophecy. So, the oppressed one, once ignored, will become the judge. So, society's future reckoning depends on how we treat the laboring figure now. So, it is a call to responsibility, justice, and transformation. So, to summarize, the major themes include social injustice and the dignity of labor and the moral responsibility of those who hold power. So there is also hope for change and justice, right? And the tone is sympathetic and reflective and prophetic. Now, let's move on into questions to check your understanding and invite reflection. First, so as we end, the poem asks, how will the future reckon with this man? So the lesson for us is clear. Labor deserves dignity. Justice is everyone's task, not just someone or one alone. And even silent sufferings can be protest. Awareness and actions should follow. Thank you for watching and reflecting with me. That would be all. Thank you and goodbye.